Esports, one of the fastest growing industries in the world, being worth $3.5 billion and having an audience of roughly 600 million people. These 600 million fans know everything about esports, but to some people, esports might be a complete unknown. If you are one of these people, you might be asking, how esports happened? What are the games? Who are the players? What is its future? What does the word esports mean? What actually is esports? The Oxford Dictionary defines esports as a video game played as a competition for people to watch as entertainment, but truly it's just traditional sports like football or basketball, but using video games. Speaking of sports, a sports status allows a specific government to fund the sport. In the esports case, it allows the government to support things like tournaments and streams. However, in the UK, esports does not hold that status yet, as the UK government classes esports as a game rather than a sport. Most of the time, esports takes the form of organised multiplayer video game competitions, which are also known as tournaments. This would be equivalent of a World Cup but for a specific video game, or sometimes multiple. For a game to be classed as an esports game, it needs to meet clear competitive standards. These are a multiplayer structure, defined rules and goals, skill-based outcomes, spectator and media and development support. Esports can be viewed in multiple ways, but the most common way is through a live stream on Twitch or YouTube, which can pull millions of concurrent viewers per event. However, many esports tournaments are hosted in stadiums. Let's go back to the first sign of esports in 1958 with tennis for two, which was then replicated by the much more successful Pong in 1972 by Atari. In the same year, the first esports tournament in history happened. On October 19th, 1972, 24 players from Stanford University played the 1962 game Space War. However, there was no prize to the tournament as it was an experiment by the university. Later on, in 1980, a Space Invaders tournament gathered 10,000 competitors. The competition was won by Rebecca Heinemann, who went on to program games including The Bard's Tale 3, Dragon Wars, and more. Later on in 1984, a track and field tournament from the game Track and Field released with an official license from the 1984 Summer Olympics. It was able to gather over 1 million competitors, becoming the most populated gaming competition of all time. In 1996, the first EVO tournament took place, which is still running annually. It used to be called Battle of the Bay with only 40 participants, until changing to EVO in 2002. The EVO, which stands for the Evolution Championship Series, is exclusively focusing on fighting games. By 2009, over 1,000 people were participating. Last year's tournament got a total of 8,541 registered players. In the 2000s, online platforms including Battle.net and Xbox Live began emerging, allowing people to connect with their friends online rather just than in person. In the 2010s, mobile games like League of Legends and Dota started to become more popular, meaning more team-based games were becoming more predominant in the esports community. Also, live streaming started to become popular on platforms like Twitch and YouTube, meaning it was becoming the most popular way to watch esports events as it was free to watch at home. Many people perceive esports differently, including in different places around the world. To find out what people specifically think, I've created a survey for my friends to complete. Yes, I have friends. On average, the results show esports is either played not often or regularly. Knowledge on esports is also a mixed bag, with some knowing lots and some not knowing much. However, not many would watch an esports tournament or a video on esports. Anyway, all the people that completed the survey played Fortnite before, with Rocket League in second place and Valorant and Overwatch in third. However, no one who completed the survey played League of Legends or Counter-Strike. Comparing sports to esports, it was an even split with enjoyment between the two. Esports was more commonly picked to participate in, and people had more knowledge on sports compared to esports. But these are just my friends. In America, they have the second biggest commercial market in the world, just behind China. In 2013, the United States government officially recognized esports, showing how the government recognizes its economic importance. Shockingly, the US military has their own esports team called the US Army Esports, being officially sponsored by the United States Army and consists of active duty and reserve personnel, having divisions in 7 esports games, including Call of Duty and Fortnite. South Korea has had one of the biggest esports markets in the world thanks to the big success of PC Bangs. These are internet cafes, which allows gamers to pay to use a computer to play video games with friends in person or just on their own. Having these succeed from the 1990s helped to create a social gaming culture among the South Korean youth. The big push of esports in South Korea was in 1999 when Blizzard released StarCraft. This is when TV channels started to begin broadcasting matches regularly. South Korea was among the first to recognize esports in the year 2000. Later on in 2019, Genji partnered with the global education company Elite Open Schools to launch the Genji Elite Esports Academy in Seoul. One of the most important parts of esports is the games. There are hundreds of esports games out right now, but only a few which have taken over the esports space. One of the most known is Overwatch, or Overwatch 2, which is now Overwatch again. The original Overwatch was released in May 2016 by Blizzard, and the sequel was released in early access in October 2022 and fully released in August 2023, where Overwatch became free to play. More recently, in February 2026, Overwatch 2 was renamed back to Overwatch as it approached its 10th anniversary. The original Overwatch was able to sell over 50 million copies, even as a paid game, with the 7 million players alone in its first week. Before reverting back to Overwatch, it was averaging 40 to 50,000 Steam players. With the name change, it leaped to a peak of 165,000 Steam players, more than the sequel ever had before. The actual game is a first-person shooter in a 5v5 game style with multiple different characters, each with different playstyles and abilities. Another large esports game is League of Legends, made by Riot Games. It was originally released on the 27th of October 2009. As it released, approximately 10 to 20,000 players were playing it during the early access. However, as the game gained popularity in 2011, it had peaked at around 11 million players. League of Legends is a MOBA, which means a multiplayer online battle arena. You choose from a wide range of characters, all with different abilities. This game is fully in a bird's eye view and exclusive to PCs. Also made by Riot Games is a more recent game called Valorant. Released in 2020, it started with an average 100,000 players, but rose over 2 years to average 5 million players, with its peak in 2024 with 6.8 million players. Now it keeps an average of 5.5 million players. The game, like the others, had different characters with different abilities, but this time it is played in rounds, with each player having 1 life per round, and a shop to buy weapons. But who plays those games? Well, arguably, the faces of esports, the teams and players. A pretty significant team in the esports industry is Team Liquid. Team Liquid was founded in 2000, signing their first professional player with the release of StarCraft 2. They then acquired a North American Dota 2 team in 2012. They now have 26 different game divisions, including games like Apex Legends, Clash Royale, Overwatch 2, and more. They have a total winnings of over $56 million from over 2,900 tournaments. Although probably the biggest and well-known team is T1. T1 is a South Korean esports team founded in 2002. They were originally founded by StarCraft player Lim Boxer Johan. They have won a record 6 League of Legends World Champion titles, including last year's, and 10 League of Legends Korean Championships. They have a total prize winnings of over $15.9 million. They also have an investment of $2 million from SK Telecom. A big selling point for T1 is their main player Faker. Faker is a professional League of Legends player from T1, winning 10 League of Legends titles and is regarded as the greatest League of Legends player. He is also one of the most marketed esports figures, appearing in numerous commercials and talk shows in South Korea. His estimated annual salary is around $5 million. He is now a part owner and executive of T1 Entertainment and Sports, and has a spot in the Riot Games Hall of Legends. Other popular players include Booga. He is a professional Fortnite esports player and was able to win the 2019 Fortnite World Championship and take home $3 million, making him the youngest person to earn such a high amount. He was able to get his own skin within the game and won Best Esports Athlete in the Game Awards 2019. He also has a big following with 5.5 million Twitch followers and 4.6 million YouTube subscribers. Another esports player who is considered one of the best Counter-Strike players is Forrest, who was able to bring Fnatic from 2006-2010 to dominate through the Counter-Strike tournaments and broke the record for the highest earning team in Counter-Strike history. Throughout his career, he has played for multiple teams, including SK Gaming, Ninjas in Pajamas, and more. Until retiring in 2024, he has won approximately 55 out of 56 of his games with his various teams. These professional teams and players train to compete in esports tournaments. One of the most popular tournaments is called the International. Founded in 2011, the International is an annual world championship for Dota 2, hosted by Valve. It currently holds the title for the single largest prize pool of any esports event, with a cumulative prize pool of $208 million over all the events. Last year's tournament was watched by over 15 million viewers on multiple platforms. While the International has had the biggest prize pool ever, Fortnite has had the highest prize pool for a solo competitor at $3 million. The Fortnite World Cup, founded in 2018, has a special twist compared to other tournaments, as it has different types of games for the same game, including solo, duo, creative, and pro-am. It also pits 50 Twitch creators against 50 pro players, allowing for more viewers to get into esports with the famous creators. The longest running pro gaming tour in the world is known as the Intel Extreme Masters, or more commonly known as the IEM. Founded in 2007, the IEM isn't specifically for one game only, as it hosts a variety of games from across esports, including League of Legends, StarCraft 2, CSGO, and World of Warcraft. It also goes across multiple countries throughout the year, including Dallas, Shanghai, Sydney, and Katowice. The interesting thing about Katowice is that it was never a tourist country until the IEM decided to host a tournament there, then leading Katowice IEM to become the largest esports themed expo in the world, with an audience of 170,000 people from around the world attending in 2018. Katowice has now created modern esports venues, including the Spodek Arena, which can accommodate 11,500 spectators. The 2025 IEM Katowice had a prize pool of $1 million for Counter-Strike 2 alone. The last and most popular tournament I'll be mentioning is the League of Legends World Championship. The League of Legends World Championship, founded in 2011, earned a record-breaking 99.6 million viewers in 2018, and had a peak of 44 million viewers at one single time, with a total prize pool of 6.45 million. Last year's event hit a peak of 6.7 million concurrent viewers, not the funny number. Now you know more about esports as a whole, but how can esports be a career? You might think that the only role is just a player, but that's wrong. Some of the jobs within esports include a caster/host, a coach/analyst, events manager, events production, sports journalist, esports sales, observer, professional player, marketing, social media manager, product manager, game development, just to name a few. In total, there are over 12,500 jobs available in the esports sector. More specifically, a caster, or more commonly known as a shoutcaster, will speak over the action of a game to engage and inform the viewer. To be able to do this, you'll need to know good knowledge of the game you are casting over and the players playing the game. A host is slightly different to a caster, as they will usually act as the main presenter of the event, hyping up the audience. An esports coach will help train the team, finding their strengths and weaknesses within each player and helping them to improve. They are responsible for every aspect relating to the performance within a team. As well as jobs within esports courses in college and universities have been created to help the young generation get into the esports sector in the future, showcasing all the different ways to get into esports rather than just players, with over 9,000 esports BTech students studying right now. Universities can go more in depth with an esports degree, or can be a deeper dive into the production side of esports, including lighting, casting, visuals, etc. But if you want to get into esports, what is the future looking like? Well, it's obviously unknown what will happen, but through predictions, we can guess that through its 2024 baseline of $2.53 billion, it could increase to $5.94 billion by 2030. An article by Esports Heaven predicted that in 2030, VR and AR experience might become more prominent and the main way to witness esports tournaments, as VR concerts are a thing now and could then transition to esports. They also predict that esports will rival traditional sports in viewership and cultural impact. This includes global network streaming tournaments and even more major brands beginning and continuing to sponsor esports events. However, we'll have to wait to see how much of this comes true. The world of esports is an evolving place, but one with a massively growing fan base and bigger than it has ever been before. The newer generation will grow up in the world of esports. So let's bring on the future.